The whole thing. You know, I think that he's going to drop out now. That's my feeling. I mean, I don't have any information, but when Pelosi gets into this, and Schumer and Schiff and Jeffries, and they all say it's time to go, you know, the COVID in a way is like a good way for him to get out, because he needs this time to show how strong he is, and he's sick, and the time is very, very short now. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't put it past them to just say, look, Joe, we can't, you know, but Nancy Pelosi, she would not bring a vote to the floor unless she knew it was going to get passed. Yeah. This is not a woman who plays games.
Whoopi Goldberg and The View are now melting down about Joe Biden and basically admitting defeat, that Joe Biden should actually step down because they don't have much of a chance at beating Donald Trump at this point. They've been saying some absolutely insane things on The View ever since the Trump assassination especially, but just shilling for Joe Biden, I mean, it's to the point where I am 95% sure that Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and the rest of The View are paid by the Biden regime in order to be Biden shills. You know, that's what it seems like to me, the way that they defend him. You know, that infamous clip of Whoopi Goldberg that everybody talked about, where she was saying everybody has poopy days, trying to defend Joe Biden for pooping himself on stage in front of a nationally televised audience. The man pooped himself, and Whoopi Goldberg defends Joe Biden by saying, oh, everyone has poopy days. Like, it's just absolutely ridiculous. And now it's gotten so bad for Joe Biden and the woke left, and gotten so good for Donald Trump, that they're forced to admit defeat. And being paid Biden shills, they're probably the last people that I would ever expect to say that Joe Biden should probably step down. They pretty much said that in this video, that Joe Biden, it's time for him to step down. And yet they still say that they would vote for a zombie over Donald Trump. Let's get into this video here where Whoopi Goldberg and The View basically admit defeat and say that, yeah, we're probably going to lose this next election, but because we're paid off by the Biden administration, we got to vote for him anyway, or at least say that we're going to out loud. Let's check this out.
Congressman Adam Schiff is the latest Democrat to publicly call on the president to pass the torch. And after the White House revealed that Biden tested positive for COVID, people went nuts. It aired last night on BET, and he was asked about his physical and mental acuity. Take a look.
Is there anything that you would look to, you personally, not anybody else, not other pundits, not even perhaps family members, that you would look to say, if I see that, I will reevaluate?
If there has some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem, look at the heat I'm getting, because
dude, come on, some medical condition? Just look at yourself 5 years ago and then look at how you're speaking today. I have to concentrate hard to understand what the guy is saying. His words are all slurred. He loses his place whenever he's speaking all the time, like constantly. I don't like saying things like this. These are things that are out of this guy's control. He's just getting old. We're all going to get here one day. If we're lucky, we're all going to be getting old, and we're all going to be slurring our words and losing our memory and stuff like that. So I don't like to make fun of him, you know, because we're all going to be here one day if we're lucky, and if we don't die before then. So, but it's just the fact of the matter. And the guy is a danger to the United States, and he's a detriment to the country, and he needs to step down. So to say that, oh, I'm looking for a medical condition, man, you're pooping yourself on stage and you're losing your plate. Like, you can't remember to read off a teleprompter properly, to not read the word pause on a teleprompter. Like, come on, man, the medical conditions are all over the place. You're old. You're just too old.
Named the Secretary of Defense, a black man.
So did the interview change people's minds?
I don't think so.
Okay. You know?
It's so depressing.
You see how just defeated they are? They're so defeated. And this is what happens. Whenever you get to a point where someone like Donald Trump lives so rent-free, and Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar and everybody else who is voting left no matter what, whenever he lives so rent-free that you put a literal zombie in the White House, this is what happens whenever people realize they put a literal zombie in the White House. This is the reaction. They're depressed. They know unless some you know, nefarious things happen during this next election cycle to where Donald Trump is not allowed to win, if you know what I mean, then they know Donald Trump is going to win this next election, 100%.
The whole thing. You know, I think that he's going to drop out now. That's my feeling. I mean, I don't have any information, but when Pelosi gets into this, and Schumer and Schiff and Jeffries, and they all say it's time to go, You know, the COVID in a way is like a good way for him to get out because he needs this time to show how strong he is. And he's sick. And the time is very, very short now. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I wouldn't put it past them to just say, look, Joe, we can't, you know, but Nancy Pelosi, she would not bring a vote to the floor unless she knew it was going to get passed.
Yeah.
This is not a woman who plays games. And she doesn't feel that he can win, I don't think. So, you know, when I saw her at the Democratic convention right before Trump beat Hillary, I said to her, what if he wins? And she said, he's not going to win. I think she's learned her lesson, that she said he wasn't going to win, and then he did. So, you know, she's very cautious now.
That's
And
true.
We have to save the country somehow.
Yeah, you're doing a great job of that so far with you know, voting Joe Biden in there. But Joy Behar is somewhat right in the fact that Nancy Pelosi wouldn't really do or say anything unless she knows that all the other Democrats are going to back her up. That's kind of how the Democrats move. You know, I don't understand how Joe Biden got the nomination, but it was just kind of like the flip of a switch one day where every other Democrat bowed out and then started to endorse Joe Biden. And I don't understand why. Like, he wasn't the strongest candidate in my opinion, but everybody was just like all at the same time. Everybody just like, they got a call. And at the flip of a switch, everybody dropped out and everybody endorsed Biden. And it seems like the same thing is happening right now, but it's the other way around, where everybody all at the same time are speaking out against Joe Biden and telling him to step down. And Joe Biden, or maybe Joe Biden, or whoever really is pulling the strings behind the scenes, they're saying no. Whereas all the other Democrats out there are like on the side of, we need to get Joe Biden out of there. Even people like The View, who have been huge Biden shills this entire time.
I think that's the reporting is coming out that behind the scenes, someone like a Hakeem Jeffries and Senator Schumer have spoken to the president and have explained to him that he has a great legacy to stand on. He's done a lot of wonderful things for the country, but it's time for him to pass the baton, much like Nancy Pelosi passed the baton to Hakeem Jeffries. I will say this, it's his decision to make. It seems to me that these behind the scenes meetings that should be private are being leaked intentionally to sort of force his hand. I think that's disrespectful to the president. I think it's disrespectful to the office. Even if he doesn't drop out, I think we have to understand that there's a binary choice. There is a threat, an existential threat to democracy on one side and Joe Biden on the other.
Right.
So he still has my vote.
I think I'll take the threat to democracy, to be honest with you. I think I'll take that over what's happening right now. Even if they weren't just lying through their teeth about Trump being a threat to democracy, the guy is not a threat to democracy. I think the real threat to democracy is probably the guy who's trying to throw his political opponents in jail. Possibly, obviously this is not confirmed or anything, gotta be careful, but possibly even trying to get him killed, you know, the assassination attempt on Trump. I think I'll probably take the other guy over the guy that's doing those things, you know, and especially over the guy that has the entire world going to war, has the country in just a horrible spot. You know the drill, right? You know the talking points already. The inflation, the crime, everything is just going wrong right now for the United States. So I think I'll take the threat to democracy, to be honest. And I think Donald Trump should just lean into that moniker. Just screw it. You know, if they're going to call me that, even if I act like an angel, they're going to call me that. Let's just make that my own nickname, the threat to democracy, you know?
Because he has Vice President Harris right next to him, who is ready to step into the role of president. God forbid something happened to Joe Biden. So I still think, you know, Democrats, instead of throwing Joe Biden under the bus, need to start talking more about the Republican program, which is Program 2025. And I implore all of you who have not read it, Project 2025. It is 900 pages. It is not the easiest thing to get through, but it is the scariest thing you will ever read. It is a very dark vision of America, and that is exactly.
They're not throwing him under the bus.
Sonny, yeah, I was
That's
going to say
exactly what's going to happen if the Republican
Sonny, I disagree on the.
Hey, idiot. I don't know that much about Project 2025 because I think it's like a very obvious psyop. You know, a lot of TikTokers are making TikToks about it all at once, just like they do whenever they're paid to do movie promotions and stuff like that. It's very obvious. Like it was like a target, like it was like a paid for campaign for all these TikTokers to make videos about this and expose it in order to make the right look bad, to make the Republicans look bad. Even if it is as bad as everybody's saying it is, Sunny Hostin, she's not reading 900 pages. I know she didn't read it. She's just saying what TikTok is telling her to say. But even if it is that bad, Donald Trump has disavowed that thing over and over and over again. And a lot of people are getting mad at him. A lot of his supporters are getting mad at him for how many times Donald Trump has disavowed Project 2025. He said that he has nothing to do with it. He doesn't even know what that is. So they're saying he's a threat to democracy. And if you vote for him, Project 2025 is going to get enacted. Trump has disavowed that over and over again, to the dismay of his own supporters, over and over again.
The one point about the Democrats making it public, their conversations, because I believe these leading Democrats would not make it public if they didn't feel they needed that pressure campaign to help them with their decision. And a friend said this the other day, and again, this is not about age. We've discussed how 81 looks on some people and how 81 looks on others. It's about a cognitive ability. And someone said to me, everyone has to take the keys away from grandpa one day. And I mean that not in an insulting way. I mean that in anyone with an elderly parent or someone who's in a condition, sometimes you have to step in. So I think the public campaign just shows the pressures and what people are seeing behind the doors, and that it's concerning. But real quickly, Sonny, I want to reiterate, I've said over and over why Biden or anyone else on the Democratic ticket resonates with me. In contrast to 2025, as well as knowing what's at stake for this election. The three main reasons that I will go Dem regardless is reproductive rights are at stake, and please don't minimize that to just abortion. That is IVF, that is family planning, that is making your own medical decisions.
Like all of these points that they always make, I swear a 12-year-old could just tell them that they're wrong and tell them exactly why. It just makes no sense. Like, why am I trying to argue with these people? I can't help myself. I know, number one, they can't hear me. And number two, it doesn't matter if they could, they're still going to repeat the same idiotic talking points that they always do. With the reproductive thing, Donald Trump has said multiple times he is not a pro-lifer. He doesn't think that he's not like a hardcore pro-lifer where he thinks that no one should have access to abortion. He only wants to leave it up to the states. That's the only thing that Donald Trump supports, is leaving the decision up to each individual state. That's it. And it's like, I just don't understand. They always said the same things and none of them are correct. None of them. And like I said, a 12-year-old could dispute these easily. If you just look at any sort of facts, you know, it's ridiculous, man.
I think also,
and then the crowd applauds. It's absolute idiots.
one thing that irks me, and it's boring to a lot of people, is the tax code. We have got to start taxing billionaires in this country. There are literally
And
over
corporations.
800 billionaires. 800 billionaires. And you know what? We bring in a quarter of what we used to generate in taxes in the 1970s. Population's going up, taxes are going down. Something's wrong with that. The have-nots and haves are so far apart right now. And finally, we have to be good global citizens. This new isolationist thing is short-sighted and misguided.
And that's the Republican plan.
And that's what I mean. So for those reasons, that's why the focus on the candidates almost doesn't matter to me as much as what's at stake.
Exactly.
Yeah, but the candidate, Donald Trump, is the imperial wizard in some circles. They love him so much. And the guy is going to be 80 in 2 years, isn't he? And he falls asleep wherever he is.
But that's my point. It's the opposite.
But the guy conks out in the middle of everything.
I actually think that Biden is ultimately going to step aside. I think that he recognizes the stakes of the election, and I think that Democrats who know how to win elections and know that this has consequences down ballot for the House and for the Senate are going to get through to him. I think we could be having a very different conversation in just a week or two. Now, what becomes interesting to me is, does it then immediately become Vice President Harris? Or
if you enjoy content like this, then make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
is there some kind of an open convention where they kind of test the strengths? This will become appointment viewing. Tens of millions of Americans will tune in because 6 in 10 Americans didn't want this rematch. So they're going to want to see, what are the other options? What's the option other than Trump? And there's a 3-month window to do this, which I actually think could be effective to introduce someone to the public and to get folks actually energized, because we've always said this is between Biden and the couch. It's not that Donald Trump is so strong.
Between Biden and what?
The couch. Donald Trump actually has massive vulnerabilities. It's been Biden's weakness that's allowed Trump to surge. If someone else can energize,
Explain
people staying home.
People staying home instead of voting.
This is all I have to say about that. He was my nominee. Everybody said, you can't change a nominee. You can't take you-know-who off the ballot because he's the chosen nominee. I feel the same way. And how dare you make this decision for me? If you want to know what I think as a Democrat, somebody should ask us, as opposed to telling us what they're going to do. Now, I'm just getting over COVID again. And I can.
It's funny how Whoopi Goldberg and all these people, they shilled the jab. Joe Biden shilled the jab. And yet they're all getting that virus still that they got jabbed for. And look, I knock on wood and everything, but I didn't get it. Let me know in the comments if you got it or not. And how often do you get that virus? Because I don't think I haven't gotten it in years, you know? It's crazy how the people that got jabbed and shilled the jab, they're the ones that's getting it and announcing it every single time like they're so proud of it.
Barely remember anybody's name. I don't know who they are. So I'm not going to take any issues because there are times when I can't remember stuff. There are times when I go for a word and it's not there, and
and there's times where you have poopy days, right, Whoopi? It's just the mental gymnastics that they use to defend Joe Biden. I mean, it's ridiculous. Let me know in the comments what you think about The View basically admitting defeat. There's a whole different tone to these View shows lately. You know, now that the election cycle is heating up a bit, Joe Biden's making a lot more public appearances. There's a whole different tone to these shows that The View is doing, 100%. And it's a very depressing, defeated tone. Let me know in the comments what you think about what Whoopi Goldberg, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and the rest of The View had to say about the state of Joe Biden in this next election.